Life is hectic.
Some days are just a blur.
We're Jay and Laura LaFoon, and we help busy couples stay married for life.
Welcome to the Married for Life podcast. Well, here we are 2 months into 2019. How you doing on your goals there, honey?
I'm happily still working on my goals. we do not believe in resolutions because resolutions soon fall by the wayside. But goals, setting goals, really works, whether it's personal goals, business goals.
I had a goal to read 24 books this year. And so I downloaded an app called Goodreads. And I got finished like 6 already.
6 books?
Yeah.
No stinking
Yeah,
way.
6 books already.
Okay, are these like romance
Some
novels?
of them are my fiction books that I like, but still, I didn't specify.
Those don't count.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't.
I've finished 1 serious book.
Oh,
How many have you finished? How many have you read?
that wasn't one of my goals. Was it? No.
No, but it's been, I enjoy having those goals and realizing that, you know, we're just going to keep working at them and keep working at them.
So what we do, our good friend Paul, our director of live events, challenged us to set 12-week goals. And you can do this 4 times a year. So you set goals for 12 weeks. And on the 13th week, you either rejoice or lament over how you've done on your goals.
So we're 2 months in, so we've only got 1 more month.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, we better get working on
Our
that.
work goals are going well. We'll say that. But
Hey, we have a shout out from a listener. One of the things that we do at our date nights and our conferences is we always ask couples, share with us what your greatest challenge in your marriage is right now. Because Jay and I are all about helping busy couples stay happily married for life. And one of the ways we can do that is to give you some tips on the greatest challenge in your marriage right now. And so we have a answer from one of our listeners. Dear Jay and Laura, the greatest challenge in our relationship right now is my lack of a sex drive. Before our daughter was born, we did pretty good. However, after our daughter was born, my sex drive left. My husband thought there was something wrong with him, but I have convinced him it is me, although I'm not sure what happened or why. When we do have sex, it is because he initiated it, and I know that bothers him that I don't initiate. I love my husband, but I'm not sure how to change my drive. P.S. We truly enjoyed your show. You appear authentic, speak the truth, and make it fun.
Woo.
This is a reality for many, many women. Sometimes it's physiological, and I would say seeing a doctor, talking to a doctor about, is it something physical? I think a lot of what we eat and what we put into our body affects the way our body works. So it could be something as simple as that. It could also be a mental attitude shift. As women, when we have children, we shift our priority to our kids. That's not right. Our kids do need us. They do need our attention, but we can't shift it away from our husband. And so really, it is an attitude that as women, we have to say, you know what, I still have to make my husband a priority, and I have to make sure that I am meeting his needs. Now, as far as initiating, that's not something I've always been very good at either. But when Jay initiates, I respond.
There's an understatement. And I think, and by initiate, I think for most men, it really, we don't want you to be, you know, like some hot mama on a television show. But like when we do make an
good to know,
because ain't gonna happen. But you know, when we do make an overture, that you actually respond, and not just respond subtly, but respond.
And I do that, and I think we've had to have conversations, though, about, you know, every so often you're like, it would be nice if you would initiate, and the way one woman's going to initiate is going to be very different than the way another one does.
Yes, Laura's going to light a candle. That's her initiating.
And well, if I light a candle in the kitchen, it means it's stinky in the kitchen. If I light a candle in the family room, it means you got a chance. If I light a candle in the bedroom, it means you've been cleared for landing.
That's right.
But seriously, to this listener, I you know, if it's physiological, if it's something physical, ask a doctor about it. But if not, it might just be something you have to speak to yourself, you know, self-talk as far as, I have to make this happen. But again, lots of times it could be something medical. So I would say asking a doctor would be a good way to make sure that it is
fixable. Sure. Well, today we're going to talk about a very popular subject, I'm sure. This is on the top of everyone's mind, and that is that you've got to lose. We're going to teach you how to lose. And in America, that just goes against every bit of you know, thought that we have. You know, we're Americans, we're winners, we're number one. But in marriage, in the best marriages, a husband and a wife lay down their lives for the sake of the marriage, for the sake of the union. And that's what we're talking about, is laying down your life in a manner, losing in order to win in marriage. Now, oftentimes when I am speaking for a business, in a business setting, talking about this whole idea of losing, I will get two women up on stage who look to me to be very equal in strength, and I will have them arm wrestle. Have half the room, rooting for one lady, half the room rooting for the other lady, and got them arm wrestling. And 9 times out of 10, it ends in a stalemate. It ends in a stalemate because they're equally matched. And so I will then dismiss one of the ladies and will tell the lady that's standing up there, we're going to arm wrestle. And I let her know in no uncertain terms that she is going to lose, and she's going to lose big unless she trusts me. And
She's going to lose big.
I'm
a big burly man.
I'm going to burst a blood vessel if I have to. Nonetheless, so what I do is I
in yourself, not in the woman.
No, right. No, I would not.
Clarifying that.
Anyway, I look at her and I just say, "Listen, you've got to trust me." And then I relax my grip in the arm wrestling as we are holding hands. And when she relaxes her grip, then I go back and forth. I lose, you lose. I lose, you lose. Because every time you lose, you also win. Every time it's not a who's going to win more. It's that you lay down your life for the sake of the union. That's what we're talking about here. And we do this because we emulate
the greatest example we've ever had. The biggest loser of all time.
The biggest loser of all time.
And we can find out who that is by reading in Philippians 2. Your attitude should be the same as that of Christ Jesus, who being in the very nature God did not consider equality with God something to be grasped, but made himself nothing, taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness.
Now think about this, okay? Jesus Christ was the greatest loser of all time. He had heaven, okay? He had heaven, and the scripture points out that he became what? Nothing. From having heaven to becoming nothing. That is a great loss.
And so really, we want to lay down our lives for the sake of our marriage. Lay down our selfishness. When was the last time you lost for the sake of your marriage? Not just like in a
card game.
Not in the card game or the train ride game or what's that other game, Catan or whatever, but not talking about that kind of losing. But when did you put aside maybe your desires, what you want to do, for the sake of your marriage, and said, you know what, just because this is something I want doesn't mean it's the best thing for our marriage. Because when we can do that, when we can lose, here's what happened to Jesus, again, continuing in Philippians 2, 9 through 11. Therefore, God exalted him to the highest place and gave him the name that is above every name, that at the name of Jesus, every knee should bow in heaven and on earth and under the earth, and every tongue confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. And
see, that's the point. When you lose, you win. When you lose for the sake of your marriage wins. And that is a beautiful thing. So the question is, how do you lose yourself for the sake of your marriage?
We'll be back.
Hi, everyone. This is Paul Thomas, Director of Live Events here at Celebrate Ministries. I've got a couple of things I want to make you aware of. If you're looking to grow deeper in your relationship with your spouse, why not take advantage of our free gift to you? You can visit jayandlaura.com and sign up now to receive a free video series called Living the Married Life, to give just a little bit of life to your marriage. We want to see you and your spouse experience an extraordinary marriage, and this free 4-week series is our gift to you. Jay and Laura are going to be in Cleveland, Ohio, and State College, Pennsylvania in March as the Ultimate Date Night He Said, She Said winter tour continues, and the LaFoons will also be traveling to Springfield and Joplin, Missouri for a pair of events. You can get tickets to an event near you. You can see where Jay and Laura are going on their tour by visiting jayandlaura.com. Now, time is running out. If you want to be a part of Celebrate Your Marriage at Sea this July, and you want to take a once-in-a-lifetime trip to Alaska and the Pacific Northwest, you have less than 2 weeks to join us before our room block on the Norwegian Joy expires and prices go up. Celebrate Your Marriage at Sea is going to sail out of Seattle on July 13th. It's going to return to port on July the 20th. And along the way, you're going to get 7 nights of a bucket list adventure. Jay and Laura, as well as guest speaker Sarah Beckman, are going to lead sessions while the ship is at sea. Also coming up is Celebrate Your Marriage at Grand Hotel, and that takes place on May 19th and 20th on Mackinac Island. Jay and Laura are going to welcome America's Got Talent finalist and sand artist Joe Castillo to the conference, and special guests Keith and Chandra Rushing of Better Half Ministries will lead sessions during our special VIP experience, which takes place on May 20th and 21st. Now, you can find out more about Celebrate Your Marriage at Sea. You can find out all about Celebrate Your Marriage at Grand Hotel by visiting jayandlaura.com. Finally, if you are interested in bringing Jay and Laura to your city or your church, please let us know. We're now booking events into 2020, and you can email us at podcast@jayandlaura.com for more information. Now, let's get back to Jay and Laura.
So today we're talking about how do you lose yourself for the sake of your marriage? How do you lay down your life? We looked at the example that Jesus laid down his life, made himself nothing for us. And then God exalted him to, being the greatest winner of all time. So how do we lose ourselves for the sake of your marriage? How do you lose your selfishness? Marriage is all about compromise. It's not about you get what you want and I get what I want. It's we get what we want together. And that compromising is what marriage is all about.
Well, I think marriage is a great revealer of how selfish we are as human beings. You don't realize when you're, a young adult, you're living on your own. Everything's about you. The world revolves around you. Well, now you're coming together as a couple, and while you love each other and you like many of the same things, there are different tastes and different things that you do love. And the ultimate revealer of how selfish we are is when we have kids.
Absolutely.
But one of the ways, I'll never forget, one of the ways Laura would lay down her life for the sake of our relationship is she would always be the first one up when the kids were in school. Now, you got to understand how big a sacrifice this is because Laura loves sleep. There's nothing she likes more in this world than
True
sleep.
story. I love sleep.
I think if she had to give up chips and salsa for sleep, she would. And you got to understand that's huge. She would give up chips and salsa. But yes, so we give up something that we like for the sake of the marriage. Now, it would have been very easy for her to say, Jay, I love to sleep, so you need to get up first and you need to get the kids' stuff together because I need my beauty sleep. But she didn't. She would get up first. She would make the kids their lunches, their breakfasts, and then basically she would tell me, you get up 15, 20 minutes after I do to make sure that the kids are moving. So she gave me the gift of sleep, which she would normally rather have herself.
I would rather keep that gift for myself.
Right.
And one of the ways I would say that you give up for the sake of our marriage is you do all the driving. Not that I don't like to drive. I don't like rain. I don't like bridges. I don't like traffic. I don't like darkness. I don't like to. I like to drive when I can just drive to the grocery store.
Right. No, so I do all the driving, and that's not. I'm not giving that up. I'm doing that for the safety of the two of us.
Here's what when we were drinking coffee, we don't drink coffee anymore. We gave it up for Lent one time and never gave it back. But when we would drink coffee, because I was the first one up in the morning, I would have my first cup of coffee gone before you got downstairs. Yep. And instead of filling up your coffee first, you would come get my empty cup and fill it up and then fill up yours. Again, guys, it's not rocket science, folks. It's just what are those little things that you can do that you're giving up your selfish desires, you're giving up your selfishness, you're losing yourself for the sake of your marriage. You're putting aside your selfishness and for the sake of the marriage, saying, how can we do this together? How can we compromise on this particular situation or on this activity or on this issue that we're having and come together and compromise, laying down what you want, your desires for the sake of the marriage?
So here's a great question. I love the word, the way the words are designed here. What do you give up for the satisfaction factor of your spouse? So in other words, you doing this action is going to satisfy your spouse in ways that maybe before have never taken place.
And we would love to hear from you. What is it that you're doing, that you're giving up for the satisfaction factor of your spouse? We'd love to hear your answers to that. You can email us at podcast@jayandlaura.com. We would love to hear those. We'll follow back up, circle back around, and see what people are giving up for the sake of their marriage.
How are you losing in order to win in your marriage? And I think for many of us, it's little things. Like for me, I'll watch HGTV. I'm a news junkie. I would watch the news 24/7. but I give up the news in order to watch HGTV with Laura. I have since found out what HGTV stands for. HGTV stands for Her Gets the Victory every time. Her Gets the Victory.
That's not
every
true.
show
We've
we
seen
watch.
some men who get their choice of
it's
the house.
few and
They
far
will-
between.
But that is something. You will watch HGTV with me, even though you'd prefer to watch something sports or news on TV. Again, like we said, folks, it's not rocket science. It's just how are you giving up your selfishness for the sake of your marriage? What are you losing? What are you giving up for the satisfaction factor of your spouse? Email us at podcast@jayandlaura.com. Thanks for joining us. We ask that you would rate us, share us, like us, all those lovely things.
Rate us, share us, like us.
We are all about helping busy couples stay happily married for life.
God bless.